defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show, where we make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm coming to you just a little bit late. Now, there's a few reasons for this. Yes, I have been behind lately, but also, I got back from the Contra Cruise. The third to last day on the cruise, I got a cold, and I'm still struggling with it. I was hoping, I can't record an episode until my voice kind of gets back. So here I am. I'm still kind of got the cough going on, a little bit of nasal sort of drainage, but it's at least better than it was. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I am back from the Contra Cruise. It was amazing. It's honestly probably one of the best things I've done. I would say for me, it was better than last year's cruise. It was awesome seeing people that I saw last year on the cruise. There's probably about 30 repeats. It's like just reconnecting with old friends. And it's just, what's so amazing is, every night it's super late, 11, 12, no, I guess 11 o'clock, it's not that late. Midnight, 1, 2, 3 in the morning. There's a big group of us. We're out on on that ship. It was a bigger ship, like the 16th and 15th deck of the ship, hanging out where the pool's at, the hot tubs, just talking. The special guests that showed up this year, we had Scott Horton, Dave Smith, comedian, obviously Bob Murphy, Tom Woods were there, Michael Bolden, the guy who runs the 10th Amendment Center, great guy, super just outgoing guy. You would never have thought from a guy who's like some sort of policy wonk, But Michael Bolden is awesome. So I think when I came to you guys with this episode, honestly, on my little page I have in front of me, all I wrote down was the winner of the silver coin. Because I was telling you guys, when we get back from the Contra Cruise, I'm going to tell you guys who the winner of the 1 ounce silver coin is. And that's all I have in front of me. And then as I was ready to start recording the show, I got this little news alert thing, and it's because, Halloween's tomorrow. And so I started reading this article from CNN. It's like, maybe I could kind of toss that in somewhere. So actually on my iPad over here, I have this article. I might refer to a few things here. Basically, from people who are on the Contra Cruise. I don't want to start off this episode saying and telling the story how I almost missed the ship, because I gave essentially a speech in front of everybody, because everyone kept asking me, Justin, what happened? Because the captain was calling your name over the intercom, tell us, why did you almost miss the ship? Were you, passed out on the beach somewhere? What happened? And so it's like, okay, guys, I had to stop telling the story. It's like, no, let me just address everybody so everybody can be on the same page and know. So I don't want to start off the episode talking about that, just because if, people from the Contra Cruise are listening to this episode, I don't want them okay, yeah, I've already heard that. So let's just save that for the very end. And yes, so that's kind of a teaser here too. Yes, I literally almost missed the ship. Imagine when you're in a little taxi and you hear the horn of the ship going. When the horn of the ship is blowing, they are ready to take off. And I'm part of the little group. We have a Facebook group going, like the Contra Cruise group. It's a private group for anyone who's gone this year and last year are part of it. And I'm seeing messages like, Justin, where are you? So it was very nerve-wracking. It was very crazy. It's kind of a crazy story. Honestly, what happened to me, it's like I was in a scene from a movie. I swear to God, it was insane. So let me just, again, I'm going to get to that a little bit later here. So I'm not really sure where I'm going to head with this episode. Like I said, all these episodes I've done in 2017, they've all been off the cuff, because you look at how President Trump, for some reason I always just call him Trump, but President Trump, why did so many people appeal to a Donald Trump? Well, A, he was refreshing, something new, something different, not a politician. B, he's spontaneous. He doesn't have these set speeches. You go see any of these guys, any of these politicians, they know exactly what they're going to say, because they know every word matters. You say one thing wrong, it can totally throw off your campaign, because, people take things out of context. So it makes sense why politicians do the things they do. But to be off the cuff, and that was just, it was so refreshing for people. And I got into some great conversations about people on the Contra Cruise about all this sort of stuff. And maybe I'll kind of tie that in too. But before I really go off the rails here, let me address and tell you guys who the winner for the silver coin is before I forget. So the winner for the silver coin, I'm not going to use a last name because I didn't get the person's permission. But based on the town, you can email me and I can verify it and everything, and I will send you the 1 ounce silver coin. So the winner is, drumroll. Okay, I'm not going to insert drumroll. Anyway, the winner is Carl from Brownstown, Indiana. So Carl, if you just want to email me at jmore616@gmail.com, I need an address from you, and I'm going to send you out your silver coin that was minted in 2017. Yes, it's a 1 ounce American Eagle silver coin. Very beautiful coins. Silver is one of the most reflective metals out there. Silver, just for people out there, okay, you didn't win the silver coin. You buy silver at these levels right now, you are going to make a killing. It's just a matter of, look, the market for gold and silver has been horrible. Since 2011, it's been down. So you hear all these people, oh yeah, everyone's talking about Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin, it's hitting new highs. Awesome. What have I said all along on my show? Bitcoin's speculation. I don't see Bitcoin as money. From my perspective, and you go back, you read how Rothbard talks about money. For something to become money, it must be a commodity first. That's how it gets its value. Really, what is the value of a Bitcoin? Okay, it's what someone else is willing to pay for it. Okay, well, that's exactly how the fiat money standard works too. But if it's actually comes from if the value is actually derived from some form of commodity value, and then that's how it gets its start. Then it becomes its sole value is because of its value in being able to transact, and with money, and what's been seen as money for thousands and thousands of years is gold and silver. Gold and silver are the most marketable commodities out there. It doesn't expire. It's very uniform. One silver coin looks like the other. Like for instance with gold doesn't tarnish, unlike silver. And you're able to make it in smaller quantities. They have 1/10 of an ounce gold coins. There's just so many different things that gold and silver have that make them very valuable as a money. People will gladly accept that. And right now, especially people in my generation, millennials, we've grown up our entire lives on a fiat money standard. So if you talk to anybody about this, who doesn't follow Austrian economics, these people will be like, what are you talking about? Like, dollars were perfectly fine. I hand my dollars over to the clerk at the store. I get my goods. I'm good to go. That's all well and good until it doesn't work. Until we have a crisis, until people actually lose faith in a fiat currency standard. At that point, that's when people are going to realize, and that's when people are going to wake up. I remember this was a few years ago on my show. I was talking about how it was one of the episodes that Glenn Beck did, where is actually probably his best episode he's ever done, my opinion, of course, where he's describing hyperinflation in Weimar Republic in Germany back in the 1920s, where the one lady who was writing a diary at the time, she's pointing out, hey, look, nobody knew what inflation was, but in 2 weeks, everybody became an expert on inflation. It doesn't take people long to realize when you are losing the very thing that you live off of, or what everything kind of revolves around. You need goods to eat. To get those goods, you need money. When that just somehow doesn't work like it used to, you're going to shape up pretty quickly. And people just started buying goods just for the sake of buying goods, just so they could trade them later for something else that they valued. So it turned into a barter system because the money was worthless. Now, the question is that going to happen here in the U.S.? Yeah, I think it's getting more and more likely. We're definitely heading down the road to Venezuela. Everything we're doing, everything that the Federal Reserve thought it was doing to make matters better, having interest rates at zero for 7-8 years, that's set us up for the largest economic crisis our country will ever face. So that's where we're headed. So for me, yes, I own gold, I own silver, I invest in the stock market in gold and silver companies, because buying right now, honestly, I see it as very, very low risk. Obviously, buying in 2011, you're hitting peaks. You're in, I guess, a sort of mini bubble. Look at the dollar index back in 2011 was around 72. What's it at now? Gosh, I guess I haven't really looked at it in a while. It's probably like 94. I want to say it's right around there. So the dollar is still strong. Hell, just the beginning of this year, when Trump was elected president, the dollar was hitting 15-year highs. So obviously, as the dollar is stronger, commodities, gold and silver, are going to be weaker because they're priced in dollars. So the question is, do you think the dollar is going to strengthen in the future or weaken? If you think the dollar is going to weaken, gold and silver will go up. Then there's also supply and demand factors with gold and silver. You think about it, with gold and silver being at the levels that they've been at for these many years, does that incentivize more people to mine for gold or less? Do you want up production or not? You don't want to ramp up production. There's no incentive for companies to go out there and explore and look for gold and silver deposits. The prices aren't there, but once they are, demand is totally going to exceed supply. And for people who own these metals, you're going to see a huge jump in value, and you're going to look like a genius. But the thing is, when you look like a genius, don't get cocky. Don't think you have it all figured out, that you're smarter than everybody else. People who think like that are the people who always get wiped out. That's how it happens. That's why for me, I'm so grateful. Like, I got in when I did. 2011, I just started, dabbing my toe in the water. I invested in some. Yeah, I lost some money on those. I bought in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 2017. And you've seen little change. Yeah, there's some I've made good money on, but there's others. The potential is there, but it's not going to get to that point until gold starts hitting 15, 16, 1700 an ounce. Hell, even if gold hits 1400 an ounce, a lot of these miners, you're going to see doubles and triples. Where can you find returns right now like that in the markets? Okay, yeah, the stock market's at record highs. That's true. But in terms of how quickly you can see returns like that. So I guess I didn't really plan on going out on gold and silver like this. So anyway, I guess all I'm saying is, Carl, congratulations. Make sure you send me an email so I can get the silver coin out to you in Indiana. And I thank all of you guys for donating to my show. Anyone who donated over $50 was in the drawing for the silver coin. And joining Tom Woods' Liberty Classroom. Tom Woods, he's a great guy, super genuine, and really gracious too. So it's been great getting to know him on the Contra Cruise. And what's so great about this event, the Contra Cruise, is getting to hang out with like-minded people. This year there's like 150 of us. We have a giant group photo that we did on one of the balconies of the ship. The ship was unbelievable. I think it held about 6,500 people, and it had a floating bar on it that would go between decks 5 and 8 that would move every 15 minutes. And it would take 7 minutes for it to move that little range. So many things. It was crazy. But anyway, guys, I'll jump back to the cruise, but I first want to address this. Just the tie-in, because tomorrow is Halloween, October 31st. It's on a Tuesday. How many of you are going out? How many of you are dressing up? Okay, maybe not a lot of you. I don't know. But this article just caught my eye. It's like, oh my gosh. Of course, this fits in perfect with everything that's going on in this crazy, insane, out-of-control world. Here's the title from CNN. Your Halloween costume has never been more politically loaded. Oh, are you freaking kidding me? Okay, I'm kind of scrolling through here on my iPad. No, I don't want to refer to that. Okay, let's see. I'm only going to read a few things from this article. Okay, so obviously with a title like that, it's pointing out, okay, yeah, Halloween, dress up. But be careful how you dress up, because you could offend some people with your attire, okay? So let's see here. In March, Kimberly Griffin, an education professor at the University of Maryland at College Park, told Insider Higher Ed that students of color may feel more sensitive to or threatened by appropriations of culture as the climate of hate and social justice changes around them. And here's a quote. Well, they have long experienced marginalization. Latino, Black, and Native American students are living in the campus communities that are perhaps more openly hostile than they once were, she said. They're also managing and navigating political rhetoric and policies that are often at best marginalizing and at worst racist. Earlier on in the article, it was referring to, be careful, don't be dressing up in blackface, which essentially blackface is, back in the day when they used to do plays, there were white males, white actors, who would portray a black person, so they would wear makeup and they would look black. Well, obviously today that's seen as racist, which, I mean, I would never be the type of person to do anything like that. But, whatever. All these people caught up in free speech. What's the point of free speech if you can't offend anybody? Free speech should be there for, protect. And actually, no, that is completely besides the point too. Because as like Rothbard pointed out, I think this was in Man, Economy, and State, he's like, look, everyone likes to bring up, like you hear conservatives talk about this. Well, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. But really, let's boil down that issue. What does that mean? You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. So, okay, we got to somehow, by their argument, so certain speech should be censored. From the libertarian point of view, from what Rothbard said, he's like, look, there's an owner of the movie theater, and if someone's yelling fire in a crowded theater, your theater, and they paid to be there, and if the fire is not really there, people are not really in danger, and everyone evacuates the premises. So you're losing out on business, concession stands, people, maybe the reputation of the theater goes down, whatever it is. You are harming the private property, the owner of the theater. So then that can be a lawsuit that can be addressed in the courts and dealt with in terms of private property. That's how you should view anything. Who are you harming? If everything came down to property rights, in which everything does come down to property rights. That is how you defined who's harmed and how it should be resolved. But in the culture today, how everything, all this public goods and all this BS, where you got, I don't know, like people's mindset is it's warped on all these issues. Yeah, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, because, we just got to somehow define, set some sort of standards for a sort of censorship. I don't want the government to censor anything. Leave it up to the private sector. If you don't want to go to certain places that offend you, then don't go there. That's somebody else's property. Just like, hey, look, I'm not a guy who smokes, but I hate it how here in Billings, Montana, and all around the nation, you can't smoke in restaurants. There should be, back in the day, there used to be smoking areas, non-smoking areas. Like, what? I mean, if I owned a restaurant, I don't want to, I want people who like to smoke while they're, maybe enjoying a drink or their breakfast or lunch. Okay, fine. Maybe you can come up with better ways to handle it so the smoke doesn't try to linger in the non-smoking area. But if you're someone who doesn't like smoke at all, guess what? You're going to go to a restaurant where there is no smoking at all. The market will determine all of this. You don't need the government to get involved. And this is what's so crazy. I'm scrolling through this article here. Okay. Oh yeah, right here. More people getting offended. Look at this. Some corners of the internet lit up this year when Halloween costume sites appeared to offer an Anne Frank costume. Various listings also described it as a World War II costume or World War II evacuee girl. Okay, so people are offended by that. Obviously, the Holocaust, millions and millions of Jews were slaughtered. It was sick. I've been to Auschwitz, which was like the largest concentration camp in Europe. You want to have a life-changing experience and to actually go into gas chambers where hundreds of thousands of people died, where they had fake shower heads up on the ceiling, and people thought that, like, because they were so dirty, like, hey, yeah, you're just going in this room, we need to get you guys all showered up, take good care of you. It was like gas chamber. Those were fake shower heads. I mean, go to Auschwitz. That is why, as I've told you guys this 1,000 times too, that's the reason I got this job part-time with United, to be able to fly around, because you gain so much knowledge and just perspective from traveling around, seeing different things, seeing different cultures. That's part of the reason too I went on the Contra Cruise. Getting to go to Haiti. Okay, Haiti is a private island. Jamaica. I didn't like how pushy all those taxi drivers were. I wasn't really comfortable in Jamaica. Just experience all this stuff. It's just so fascinating to me. I love to broaden my perspective. I'm not a closed-minded person. I like to understand as much as I possibly can. And there's so many people out there. Well, actually, no, the people you run into who are super, super arrogant. They think they have it all figured out. Which those people who are super arrogant, they actually don't realize how naive they are. Because the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. It's like, holy crap, there's a lot to know. Like, yeah, let's just leave it up to the experts and just, I don't know crap, you know? So here's, Anne Frank. You guys know who Anne Frank is. She was the one who wrote the diary when she was hiding from the Nazis. She was a little Jew. Her and her family were hiding like behind this hidden door, behind this bookcase. And she survived a few years in hiding in Amsterdam. And actually, you can go visit where she was if you ever go to Amsterdam, which, man, I plan on doing that at some point here. And she ended up getting found, and she ended up dying. Actually, Anne Frank was in Auschwitz for a little while. Then I think she got moved to another concentration camp where she died. Just sad. Most people, all this history is lost on most people. Most people are so ignorant of what happened. So here we have people concerned on Halloween about being offended. What the hell? People these days, we don't know what struggling is. We have little girls like Anne Frank, I don't know how old she was at the time, where she's just trying to survive. She's writing a journal. And we're bitching and moaning and complaining about, oh, I'm offended by you wearing a costume trying to be a transgender. Transgenders, they have feelings too. Sort of crap like this. Okay, look at later on in the article here. This year's tasteless costume du jour is the wall. It's a play on President Trump's proposed Mexican border wall. Okay, so if you're dressed up as the wall, going door to door, you're in the bar, hanging out, you're throwing back a few cold ones, you must be a racist. You must be racist against Mexicans because the wall's intended to keep them out. It's like, whatever. Like, where's people's sense of humor? Who cares? Why? Seriously, we have nothing to complain about in today's society. But I think, what a lot of this is, as a society, you get more wealthy, things that were once a struggle to people, where they literally, their main concern was to survive. So as you become more wealthy, you can concern yourself with stuff that really doesn't freaking matter. So that's where we're at today. But the thing is, it's not like a lot of this prosperity that we have today. I've done episodes on this talking about all the false prosperity brought on by all these trillions of dollars printed out of thin air from the Federal Reserve. How this is all coming to crash down. And so eventually people will wake up. Or the ones who don't, they're going to get wiped out. Actually, a lot of people are going to get wiped out. And I think a healthy reset is probably what we need, because literally culture today is out of control. Here we go. Subtitle here from this little article. Why we need guidelines. The University of Texas in Austin publishes a series of suggestions and guidelines regarding costume and theme parties. The document has existed for several years. It isn't just for Halloween, but last year it became a favorite target of critics who mocked its broad scope. The guide was slightly updated this year, with potentially harmful costumes and themes like stereotypes of Asians and indigenous cultures, ghetto fabulous, chicks and hicks, and pimps and hoes. It also includes questions for theme party planning like, is a theme or costume referring to a living culture or people? This stuff is just, okay, let's just scroll down here a little bit more. We don't need any of that. So here we have, so last year at this fraternity here, they sent an email out to all chapters before the Halloween season. Please, brothers, be attentive of what you wear this Halloween season. It read, quote, what might be harmless to you might be extremely offensive and hurtful to others, end quote. Just days later, a white student at the University of Central Arkansas was photographed in what appeared to be a Bill Cosby sweater in full blackface. He was suspended, as was the fraternity's chapter of the school. Earlier that year, 2 students at Albright College in Pennsylvania were suspended for an online video of one student mocking the Black Lives Matter movement while wearing blackface. The college presidents called the stunt a hurtful, offensive act. Mercifully, as the Halloween season ends, this year's offensive costumes will be filed away with past years, next to Ebola doctors and Caitlyn Jenners and other homemade bad ideas too awful to mention. Okay, yeah, sure, some of that stuff, whatever. Like, I would never do anything like that. That probably is, I would argue, tasteless. But seriously, don't get butthurt over this stuff. And, just now let's tie this stuff all back into the Contra Cruise. And, every night when you have a dinner on the Contra Cruise, like you're with different people, you get to meet different people from the group, from all over the United States and even from other countries. There's some people there from, Singapore, Switzerland, I don't know, other places. So I remember the same day that I almost missed the ship, I'm talking with this guy, And he's kind of pointing out, I mean, I was already kind of heated, like, hey, I just was running to catch the ship. So I'm like in no mood. I'm just like in no mood for crap. This guy's talking. No, he's a really nice guy. So don't take this the wrong way if he's listening, whatever. Where he's kind of pointing out, look, girls these days, they're so caught up, like everything's offensive. Like it's hard basically to ask a girl out on a date because she can see that as being offensive or, like you're some sort of sexual harassment. And I point out to the guy, okay, do you realize what you're doing by saying that? You're making yourself a victim. Like don't do that. Like with anybody, two people could say the exact same thing. And the way you say it affects, like, okay, does the girl think you're creepy or not? Or, okay, obviously, yeah, some will explain to it. There's some guys, some really good-looking guys could say some creepy stuff. They get away with it because they're good-looking. But if you're just an average-looking guy, hey, you've got to figure it out. You always assume, this is kind of how I take things in life. Always assume everything is your fault and then figure out, okay, what can I do better next time to improve myself? Be objective about yourself. Figure it out. You can't just say, oh yeah, women are just stupid and it's my fault. You can't think like that. It's like, no, maybe I did come off in the wrong way. From my little journey and what I've gained, it's like, the guys out there, like say the guys who go out to bars or whatever, because they just want to hook up with chicks, that sort of thing. If that's your intent when you're going out, guess what? Your body language says everything. What do they say? Like 90% of the things that go through communication it's nonverbal. So what are the cues that you're letting off that you don't even realize you're doing? So it's first off, you got to be objective about yourself and kind of be able to see yourself from a bird's eye view and like, whoa, okay, maybe what I did there, no, it wasn't right. But for guys who are just seriously just trying to hook up with chicks, you're talking to a girl and like you're trying to get with her. Guess what? That's not going to work. They can sense if you're trying to go after them like that. But if you're just a guy like, hey, you're just friendly, you're just about like having fun, just getting to meet new people, like you're excited to meet people, that comes out. And that's how you attract people to you. I've noticed that even with, you go to karaoke bars, I've noticed some people who have nailed songs, sang them very well, but there was no really reaction from the crowd. Now, obviously sometimes, okay, maybe the crowd wasn't into that song. It kind of depends where you're at. So that's partly, it's that. But also, the things you do on stage. And like, I made the karaoke finals again this year on the cruise ship. I ended up taking 4th place. The girls who took 1st and 2nd, they were from Scotland and Ireland, and they're actually professional singers. They were amazing. But like what I did on the stage compared to anyone else in the finals, I dominated the stage. I had a different presence on stage. I got the audience involved, and that completely changes how people react to it. People can sense that confidence and just that fun-natured sort of attitude. Those girls on stage, fantastic voices. Yeah, they took 1st and 2nd. They were phenomenal. But actually, after the competition got over, this one lady came up. She was like one of the judges, and she was on the other side of the room from where I was sitting. She's like, hey, Justin, the consensus on the other side of the room was that you won. You were the best. It's like, no, I knew my voice didn't even compete with those girls. And actually, that's when my cold had just started. So I was surprised that I was able to sing that song as well as I did. I still didn't do it at my best, but, you got to deal with the cards you're dealt and just try to do your best, right? But just for her to say that, it's like, no, I knew I wasn't going to win. But the stage presence, that is part of how they factored in. Like, how do you get the crowd involved and that sort of thing. And so it was just so amazing just being part of that, just those experiences like that. Oh my gosh. You learn from everything that you do. And when I'm at these tables every day with all these different guys on the Contra Cruise, I kind of had some general things I want to talk about. It wasn't like just policy stuff, but it's like back to basic stuff. Like, how do you win people over to your side or with anything? So I can refer this back to karaoke. The one thing, and it's really become a lot more clear to me, what's the one key thing? It's charisma. People who have incredible charisma, it's amazing how you can pull people over and just attract people to you. It really is unbelievable. Now I'm not always, sometimes I have elements where I can be very charismatic. Other times I'm not, like I'm inconsistent, and that sucks. So I need to work on it. How can I always be, charismatic? because I've seen the power of it. It's unbelievable. Like the one that when I did the karaoke thing, this wasn't one of the finals, just one of the nights. Before you sing your song, the one lady's like, okay, tell everybody your name and where you're from. Before I was able to speak, these were two girls that were in the front row by the stage. They weren't part of the group. They were completely separate. And they yell out, Justin, he's from Montana. So just charisma is so powerful. And it's like, how does someone get it? But again, it's all a process like anything else. It's before you have charisma, obviously you have to have a lot of confidence to get to that level. But charisma, it's just this, like, you can tell when someone is having fun and just doing what they're doing, and that energy goes out to other people and they feel it. When I think of people who are very charismatic, two names come to mind. One of the most charismatic guy I've ever met was Rick Rule. Rick Rule I've had on my show, I think it was like 2 years ago, billionaire investor, super smart guy, very funny, witty. You meet this guy in person, holy crap. He's got confidence, but he's not arrogant at all. He has charisma like nobody's business. I can't believe it. Charisma is one of the most powerful forces out there. It literally attracts people to you. Even someone, it really is unbelievable. Number two, I remember, this probably like almost a year ago on my show, where I come back to you guys. I just was at a Garth Brooks concert. I'm like, wow. That was the most amazing performance I have ever seen by anybody. Garth Brooks had incredible charisma on stage. Like he literally, you can just feel it. And like his love, he was doing exactly what he loves to do. People like to follow people of passion. I mean, those forces are incredibly, incredibly powerful. So another theme, and I've talked about this on my show a lot too. Like so many people when they want to argue, or when they're arguing with friends, whatever, politics, like so many people have the mindset like you're trying to convince them on the spot. No, don't do that. Who cares? You don't and you won't convince somebody on the spot. It's just plant seeds and ask questions. Try to understand exactly where they're coming from. If there's one book that I could recommend every libertarian should read, or people, conservative, whatever you come from, even if you're liberals, one book everyone should read is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That book was written, I think, in like the 1930s sometime, and it's just a classic book. Yeah, and he lays out basic principles in the book that apply to every relationship with anybody you ever talk to. Like he makes the point, people's names are sacred. So like a lot of really good salesmen in a conversation, they're frequently going to use your name in a sentence because your name is sacred. It's a way of relating to you. Or when some person makes a certain posture, say you're talking to them in a conversation, they have their arms folded. If you fold your arms too, like kind of mimic them, they don't even realize it, but that's actually a way of like, there's kind of a trust sort of thing that's created there. There's so many different things. Another thing, being able to see things from someone else's perspective. Almost anyone you talk to, most people are so selfish, they only look at things from their perspective. But if you can be the person to look at things from their perspective, so you're arguing with somebody on economics, whatever, try to truly understand where they're coming from. It's like, hey, I used to be exactly where you're at. I used to think it was crazy. But then, I started to understand a few of these things, and I realized I think I was wrong before. Doing things like that is so effective. Just learning how to talk to people. Don't try to think you're the smartest guy in the room. That's stupid. Who gives a crap? Nobody cares. So that is one book I would strongly recommend to everybody out there to read. Oh man, it will change your life. Second book I would recommend, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Holy crap. Amazing, amazing book. And it's kind of funny, like a lot of things that I've intuitively done, like say like I started doing a podcast just because I want to practice speaking, karaoke, practice singing in a way of practicing performing in front of an audience. So it's doing those different activities have helped improve my skills. And this guy in this book, it's basically what he's talking about. How, look, you're not going to become an overnight success. That's not how it happens. All these people can bitch and moan and complain like, oh yeah, well that guy's just talented. That's how he got to where he is. No, talent is only a very, very small percentage of success. You have to build yourself up, find out what you're good at, get outside your comfort zone, figure it out, and just keep working on it. Producing podcast episodes, whatever it is. Each time you do it, you can be gaining in terms of skill, maybe 1% at a time. You might not notice it at first. He has an analogy in the book where he's describing, like, here, you're pumping. You're pumping a well in the middle of the desert, whatever. Like, you're going. You can't get any water for the longest time. But then all of a sudden, and at that point, most people give up because it's like, well, I'm not seeing any improvement. It's not worth it. I'd rather just go play video games with that in my time. But if you keep pumping, you keep working at it, eventually a little bit of water comes out. And then a lot of water comes out. That momentum. That is how you can change your life, is just working on it, always improving yourself. There's so many people, if you go ask them, from where you are right now to where you were 5 years ago, what's changed in your life? Now, take away like getting married, college, things like that, like the person looking into himself. Most people will probably say, well, I guess I'm making a little bit more money at my job. I've got my little annual raises, that sort of thing. Maybe you're making a few dollars an hour. Okay, so you have more money. What else? Have you improved as a person? Are you any more skilled than anything else? Okay, maybe your golf game's gotten a little bit better. But what else? But if you're a person who consciously is always trying to improve on different things, like whether it's public speaking, you go to Toastmaster events, whatever it is, you start a podcast to work on speaking, or you want to become a better singer, you start doing karaoke. Those little skills, and what I found too, a lot of these skills, there's dots that connect, and you get better at other things you had no idea that you were good at before, because it's a lot of similar skills can apply to many different areas. Sales, whatever it is. That is what's so fascinating. Like for me, I can look back 5 years. I have changed so much in 5 years. I can't imagine where I'm going to be in another 5 years. Just always working a little bit each time. And just never think of yourself as a victim. Everything you do is your fault in your life. All the choices you make, that has gotten you to where you are today. So if you're the one who asked that question to yourself, where were you 5 years ago? Are you the same person? Okay, have you improved in any sort of skills? Like another thing, when I was at one of the tables on the Contra Cruise, people would say, actually it's the same guy. Oh, well, no, I'm an introvert. No, I can't be charismatic. What? Okay, again, you're putting yourself as a victim. Anyone can, don't label yourself as an introvert. People who are introverted can become extroverts. People who are non-performers can become performers. People who are not singers can become singers. All the power is in you. And if you have that mindset that you can do anything, you could change the world. At least you're going to change your life. And so, as libertarians, don't we, in general, it all comes down to the individual, that we can do it. We don't need anyone else to do it. Yeah, don't be victims. And don't think you're the smartest one out there. Have some humility, So that is just, and that's the one key thing I learned, and that's what I'm trying to work on in my life too. How to become more charismatic. Because I've noticed in little instances of my life where I seem to have a lot of charisma for some reason, how everything just came easy. Whether it's jokes just rolling off the tongue, like everything is so effortless and just easy. It's like when you get to that point, or you at least have felt it a few times in your life, it's like you're in complete control of everything. And I don't know, it's amazing just how it truly is unbelievable. And I think that's the key. Whether like relationships, it really is an incredible force. And that is definitely one thing. You bring it back down to basics in terms of the libertarian movement. What do we need? We need people with a hell of a lot more charisma than we have. That's for damn sure. You get a lot of people up there like sounding like Ben Bernanke, mumbling around. You need charisma. It really is. To repeat myself, just an incredible force. One of the most powerful forces out there that can move individuals. That is what can create a movement. And I guess to finish up this episode, crap, I'm already running so damn long. This was going to be a mini episode because I'm losing my voice. And okay, let me just end it here with the story. So I told you guys, I literally almost missed the cruise ship. Okay, let me just hurry and tell you guys about my day. So what happened? When I was on the cruise, a lot of the times I really didn't get very much sleep, probably 3 hours a night. Well, that's because my room would get super hot at night. Well, on day 6 of the cruise, it's a 7-day cruise, I wake up, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I go down to guest services. I'm like, okay, hey, my air conditioner doesn't work in my room. It feels like it's 75 degrees in my room. Like I need it 65 degrees in my room when I sleep. I need it cold. And the lady's like, she looks up in the computer. She's like, okay, what room number are you? Okay, Oh, I see your master switch that went off at 1 a.m. in the morning. Well, that's about the time I came in the room. Well, I didn't realize, I thought, because when I was in the room, there was the 2 lights that went above where the pictures were at. It's like, well, I wanted it completely dark, so I hit the other switch, and that turned it off. Well, that was the master switch. The master switch also shuts off the air conditioning. Okay, it's like, well, that's good to know. I went through 6 days of suffering, and I couldn't sleep. I'm twisting and turning. It was miserable. So then I finally learned about the master switch thing, so that helped things out a little bit. And then, so that's how my day started. So then I went back to my room, tried to catch some sleep. And basically, one of my buddies, he got married in Playa del Carmen in Mexico on Wednesday. And we arrived in Cozumel on Friday. So my whole plan all along, this was before I went on the cruise, it's like I was going to go see him and hang out with him and a few friends at the resort. Just get like a day pass and hang out. So that's what I did. So to get there, you get off the ship and you take a taxi. Actually, first you walk the pier, then you hop on a taxi, take the taxi to downtown. It's a 5-minute taxi ride. And then from there, you hop on a ferry. You take the ferry. It's a 45-minute ferry ride that takes you to mainland Mexico. And then from there, you find another taxi and you take that 20 minutes to his resort. So that's what I did. I hung out. I planned on, okay, let's see, I need to leave the resort. Okay, the ship leaves at 5:30. Okay, I was looking on the internet earlier. Looks like the ferries leave every hour. So I need to catch the 4 o'clock ferry. I can't go any later than that. That's the latest. And I'm having a good time, hanging out, drinks, food, just enjoying myself. Great seeing these guys. And then I went and asked a few guys who work at the resort. I'm like, okay, well, the cruises, I mean, the ferries, they leave every hour, right? 2 people told me, no, they leave every half hour. I'm like, oh, okay. Wow, I guess I thought it was every hour. So I guess I could miss the 4 o'clock ferry and I could catch the 4:30 ferry. Well, I leave the resort. I get to where the ferry's at. And the next departure for a ferry is at 5 o'clock. It's like, oh crap, the ship leaves at 5:30. It's a 45-minute ferry ride. I'm going to miss the boat. So I'm waiting. I go up and I tell the one guy who's running, like taking tickets or whatever. I'm like, hey, can you let the people on the ship Oasis of the Seas know, like, I'm trying to get over there. I'm waiting for the ferry. And he ended up telling me, he's like, yep, the ship knows that you're over here. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, you just need to be the first one on the ferry. You need to be the first one off. You need to get there as soon as you can. Because basically there's no guarantees. Because these ships, they don't wait. Okay, so the ferry, we get over there. It's already like 5:45. It's like, oh my gosh. I get off. I still see the boat. I still see the ship is still sitting there. I run off that ferry. I'm booking it as fast as I can. And I'm running through hundreds and hundreds of people waiting to board the ferry to head into Mexico where I just came from. I mean, there's this narrow little pathway. People on both sides. I'm yelling, excuse me. And I'm just running. I see people coming on oncoming traffic. It's like, no, I'm going. These guys are going to have to move off to the side. It's like a game of chicken. Like you watch Fast and the Furious, 2 cars coming at each other. The one guy blinks. I ain't the guy blinking. I am running full speed through crowds. I think my backpack is nailing people, but I still have to catch a taxi. It's like a 5-minute taxi ride. Then I have to run the pier to get on the boat. And I'm already past departure time for the boat, the ship. And I finally get to a taxi. There was more traffic than we planned on. And it was so nerve-wracking at that point. I'm seeing the ship still stationed there on the left on the pier. Then there's another ship on the right, Liberty of the Seas. And I hear the horn going off of the ship. I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to miss it. And then finally I get off the taxi ride. I just book it and I'm running. And I'm just running that pier. And what's so, and the ship that's on the right, Liberty of the Seas, there's a bunch of people on the balcony. Actually, their departure time was before ours. So everybody is on their ship already. And I see a bunch of people on the balcony, like they're all clapping and cheering. So it's like I'm a guy that's in the middle of a marathon race running with this crowd, like just going crazy. And I get to where the ship's at. There's still a guy there taking the cards so they can scan that you're back in the system, you're back on the boat. And before I give him my card, I set down my backpack and I bow. And I'm like, kind of thank you. And the people just going crazy. It was literally a scene from a movie. And it was like I got on the ship, I think 6:05. So they left a little bit later, thank God. And I think there was still another person that they're looking for because as I'm getting on, The guy's like, hey, are you blah, blah? I'm like, no. He's like, oh, you're Justin. I'm like, yeah. And actually, just to rewind just a little bit here, when I was in the taxi that last 5 minutes before I was going to run the pier, there was, I'm part of that group message thing on Facebook, people on the Contra Cruise group, and they're all saying, Justin, where are you? The captain is calling your name over the speakers. I mean, people saying stuff like that, like, that's not making my situation any better. It's like, oh my gosh. Then you hear the horn going off. All these things together in my head. It's like, it was so nerve-wracking. It's like, geez. I mean, I thought I was keeping my cool pretty good, all things considered. But holy crap, that was crazy. I mean, talk about living life on the edge. It was, I made it. So that was good. And later, the next day I'm on the cruise ship. I'm talking with this little crowd. We're all in the elevator together, and I'm all telling them about my experience, almost missing the boat. They're like, hey, we heard about someone. I think actually they were up on the balcony. They're up on the balcony of the ship. And they witnessed an event where there was someone who must have tipped a taxi driver very well. They drove a taxi on the pier and got right up to where the boat is. So I don't know how the hell that happened. Maybe there were people before me, because I still got on at a time I didn't think I was going to make it, because that was way past the time when they're going to leave. But yeah, it was wild, and I'm glad I made the ship, because if I wouldn't have made the ship, wouldn't have done the karaoke finals, would have missed out on the last day of group activities at the Contra Cruise. But guys, seriously, if you want a chance to change your life and be around just a great, great group of people, go on the Contra Cruise. It really is. It's worth every penny you spend. But obviously, with anything that you do, what you get out of it, it's what you put into it. If you're going to have an attitude like, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm not going to do anything, well then, yeah, you might not get anything out of it. But just, live. Actually, here's my challenge to any of you guys out there. Say there's a lot of you listening to this podcast, you're introverts. I challenge you. Go and just put yourself outside your comfort zone. Just do it all the time. Go on a trip by yourself, whatever it is. Go try karaoke for the first time. Keep putting yourself out there. Eventually, it gets easier and easier. And then you don't even realize, wait, I was an introvert before? Holy crap, you're going to look back at your life. You say, wow, 5 years ago, you wouldn't catch me talking to strangers. My mom told me never to talk to strangers. And here you are, meeting new people and just having a good time and being fearless. And with all that, you get a sort of confidence. You get that confidence eventually. You're going to develop a sort of charisma. And also, with a lot of people, they think, oh, to be charismatic or whatever, like you have to be super articulate. No, you don't. Trump proved that. Well, Trump has his own sort of articulateness, like his own unique speaking pattern. Charisma is way different. Now, there are people who are very well spoken. To some people, like when you meet someone like that can be extremely intimidating. It's hard for someone to kind of pull that off, but if you can be a super articulate, but then still like be sort of, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. Just like there's different levels of it. But charisma is seriously just such a powerful force. And to try to achieve that in your life, that can literally change your life. And that's going to lead you to a road of success. There's no question about it. Because as Dale Carnegie says in How to Win Friends and Influence People, he says in the book, this is such a great point. The people who make the most money in life are the people who are not the smartest, but they are the people who are best at working with other people. So my friends, become a people person. Change your life. Strive to get charisma in your life. Live a life outside your comfort zone. And you're going to change your life. So ladies and gentlemen, you know what? Let me just end it right there. I've gone way over where I am. I've completely lost my voice at this point. You know what? I got to this episode super late. So let me just, what I'm going to do, guys, I'll try to record another episode here in a few days. Maybe I'll talk about, there's just so many things to talk about. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I'll figure something out. So anyway, guys, I thank you so much for being here. Catch up on my old episodes of my show. Go to justinmohrshow.com. More is spelled M-O-H-R. You can buy Amazon goods through my little link there on the website. I get a small commission back. It costs you nothing extra. You can also join Tom Woods' Liberty Classroom. Amazing site. I get a small commission back on that as well if you click through my link. All that is ways to help me out on my show. I thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so glad to be back. I'll talk with all you guys next week, and I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.